Mr. Klein here for Klein Maths. Today I'm going to go through exam technique with you with a new paper for you, National 5 Maths Essential Skills 2024. This is paper 1, I'll do paper 2 later today, and this is courtesy of Mr. Rennie. So the whole point of this video is I'm going to try and do it as live as I possibly can. So really not much editing, not editing out all the mistakes that I make or not editing out all the pauses, and try to do it like fresh without me sitting looking at solutions or anything like that, to get an idea of how I would do an exam, and hopefully that will help you for tomorrow. So I see that this is 40 marks, it's about an hour, and I've not to use a calculator. And the first thing I check is the formula sheet and just get myself familiar with, this is the quadratic one. If it mentions roots or finding the roots, I use that. I notice also the bit under the square root sign is called the discriminant, which can help me as well. And then I've got my sine and cosine rule for angles or sides and triangles, area of a triangle. All my volume ones, I always take a note of them, and especially the fact that if you've got a third here in front of a cone, if I get rid of that third, I get a cylinder. And then the last one, standard deviation. You've got this one and this one, and I always use the top one, so I just kind of ignore the bottom one. Let's start. So, when I'm starting, I kind of go through the paper, scroll through it, or, you would kind of open the paper up and just kind of have a look, see what's in it, how I feel about it, and feel I can start it when I'm ready. And I always think to myself, look, a good rule of thumb, if I can work at about a mark a minute, that seems reasonable, doesn't it? A mark a minute for a question. Obviously, a little bit over a minute you get, but it's a good rule of thumb. If you're taking too long in a question, you kind of want to move on, okay? Just checking we're still recording, because something messes me up. So 2 1/5 times 1 1/7, so I know I need to do times, so I'll change it to fractions. 2 5s is 10 and 1's 11 over 5. 1 times 8 is 8 plus 7 is 15 over 5. And I remember that I've made a mistake already, of course. It's not 5, it's 8. I don't know why I wrote 5, but I know it's 8. And that's where you would double check. 2 5s is 10 plus 1's 11 over 5. 1 times 8 is 8 plus 7 is 15 over 8. Right, that's fine, I'm good. Now, I can times that directly, or I remember that you can actually just simplify by dividing the top and bottom by the same number. Any two numbers would work. Only works for times, doesn't work for add. So dividing by 5, I get 3. And dividing by 5, I get 1. Just make sure I'm happy with that. Yep, 11 times 3 is 33. And 1 times 8 is 8. Now, I might not be sure if that's simplified or not. So I can just do 8 into 33 is 4, with 1 left over. 4 and an 8 is definitely simplified. So I'm done there. If I check the official answer, yep, 33 over 8, so I'm happy. Find the equation of the line shown below. Well, let me just copy this onto a new page so that we've got plenty of space to work on this. You obviously have lots of space in your answer book, but I don't. So I've got an iPad. So there we are, equation of a straight line. So if you're working on an equation of a straight line, I remember that we need two things, the gradient. So I'll immediately try and remember that formula and write it down. So it's sitting there for me. And then I use the y minus b equals mx minus a. Some people might use y equals mx plus c. So then I want my gradient. So I need an x1 and a y1, and an x2 and a y2. So I'll put that's the ones I'm going to use just to help me. 6 minus minus 3. Now make sure you check your minuses here. 6 minus in the formula, then minus 3. Good. 1 minus, and then minus 2 in the sum. Good. So 6 minus minus 3 is 9. 1 minus minus 2 is 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Quite happy with that. So then I need an a and a b. So I'll just pick a and b. I'll use the positive numbers because I think they're easy to work with. Y minus b, y minus 6 equals 3x minus a minus 1. Good. Y minus 6 equals 3x. Quite happy with that. Minus 3. Quite happy with that. Plus 6 to both sides. So y equals 3x. 6 minus 3 is 3. So plus 3. Double check I'm happy with everything I've done, and I feel like I am, so we'll move on. Change the subject of the formula d equals 4p squared over 5 to p. So I need to change it to p, and that's sitting on the top of a fraction. So the first thing I can do, I think, is times. So that gives me 5d equals 4p squared. Thinking of that like that. And that's over 1 if you want to think of fractions. And then I need to divide by 4 because it's p squared. I'll need to get to. Oops, I've written 4d. See how easy it is to make mistakes? I do that all the time, by the way. So you'll be seeing all the mistakes that I normally make. 5d over equals p squared. So then square root. So p equals square root 5d over 4. You'll probably be fine with that answer, but I can see that 4 can be square rooted, so I would maybe then go p equals root 5d over the square root of 4 is 2. I've got a feeling you would get the mark stopping there, but if you go too far, most of the time, even if you make a mistake after you've got the right answer, you won't get penalised. So feel free to go too far, but just watch out. Yep, we would have stopped at that point. The diagram shows a circle, centre 0. It gives me lots of information. I hate these questions, but I'll look to see if the information's in the diagram. That one's there, yep. That one's there, yep. And I see a tangent. I have to find this angle. Now, I don't know how to get to that angle, and you probably don't either, but I do know some rules. Tangent and a radius meet at 90. I know that if I've got a diameter making a triangle, I get 90. And I know that if I've got isosceles, in other words, I remember it's 2 radius, make this, I get isosceles. So I will usually go through my list, and I look for tangents first because they're outside the circle. So I've got a tangent here, meeting a radius, make sure you pick the radius. So I've got my 90 degree either side. Now I put that in, because I'm using pen, there's my 90 degrees there. So I can do 90 minus 58. 68, 78, 88 makes 32, put it in there, and 90 minus 34, well that is 44, 54, 64, 74, 84, 56, so I can put 56 here, because they make 90. Might not need that one, but it doesn't matter, but I've used that rule. Diameter triangle 90 degrees, so let's see if I've got a diameter, and does it make a triangle? Yes. At the circumference, as long as it's at the circumference, that's 90. It does the same that side, so I can just shove 90 in these places and go, thank you. 2 radiuses making a triangle. Well, I've got 2 radiuses this either side, but we don't make a triangle anywhere, so that's not really doing anything. What I mean by that is it should be something like this, making a triangle, and that would be isosceles. Well, that's not part of this, so I'm just not using that, so it's fine. Now, angles on a triangle are up to 180. So I've got 2 sides of this. I can see that joins there. There should be a line there. 90 plus 34. So let's just write that. 90 plus 34 is 124. So I can do 180 minus 124, which is 56. So I get 56 down here. Doing the same on the other side. 90 plus 32 is 122. So I can do 180 minus the 122, which is 32, 42, 52, 62, 72, 58. So I've got 58 down there. So I've now got 2 angles that make this little shape. 56 plus 58. Well, that's 58, 108, 114 degrees. Double lines. Make sure I'm quite happy that I've done my sums right. No silly mistakes. If I do, scroll it out and do it again. Make sure if you do make a mistake and you don't want it marked, you don't leave it there, because they'll mark both. And then I'll give you sometimes the lowest mark of the 2. So scroll out what you don't want to be marked. If you have to go to the end of the exam paper because you're going out of space, just make sure, see end of the exam paper, scroll it out and just do it again at the end. Question 5, the graph of a function of the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, write down the values of b squared minus 4ac. Well, that's called a discriminant. B squared minus 4ac can be either greater than 0 for 2, I'm not going to write it, 2 real and distinct roots. It can be equal to 0 for 2 real and equal roots, or 1 real and equal root, and less than 0 for no real roots. Now, I don't think you'll get asked it in this way, to be honest with you. Usually you're given the numbers a, b, and c, like 3x squared plus 4x plus 5, and they're asked for the nature of the roots. And you just sub into b squared minus 4ac, and if you get a positive number, you say 2 real and distinct roots. If you get a number equal to 0, you say 2 real and equal roots. And if you get a negative number, you say no real roots. But in this case, you have to identify that where a root is where it cuts the x-axis. It's only cutting it in one place, where the turning point is. So one place means it's equal to 0, because there's only one root, or 2 real and equal roots, which is the same as one root. Question 6, part of the graph of y equals a sine bx is shown below. Find the values of a and b. Have a good look at this first and see what the numbers go up to. So I can see it goes 2 and minus 2, exactly the same. That's a high and low point. So that's my a. I'm happy with that. And then immediately I think to myself, for B, it's 2, but they're probably trying to trick me, so I make sure I count 1 wave, 2 wave, oh, but we've stopped at 180, so there'll be another 1, 2, so it's actually 4. Tricky, tricky. B equals 4, and we're done there. Question 7. The monthly energy bill for an average 2-bedroom house dropped by 20% to 176. What was the monthly bill before the drop? See, a lot of people think we do 20% to 176, but it's not that at all. It's dropped by 20%, so that means that 80% equals 176, and it's a reverse percentage question. Now, if this was a calculator paper at this stage, I'd divide by 0.8 and just get my answer. But I'm on a known calculator, so I somehow need to get up to 100%. A good rule of thumb is, if you can get down to 10%, then you can go back up to 100. So divide by 8. I think I could divide that by 8. 176. 8 1s are 8, 8 2s are 16. And 8 2s are 16, 22. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So 10% is 22. So 100%, which means I'm going to divide by times by 10. 10 times 100 must be 220. Now, a question like this, I will double check my answer. So I've done 8 into 17. 8 1s are 8, 8 2s are 16. Plus 1 is 17, so carry 1. 8 2s is 16. 22, 220. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's move on. Your mark, by the way, you get a mark just for writing that down, so it's roughly reverse percentages. If there's no time, it's usually reverse percentage. Question 8. In the diagram, DCDA represent vectors M and N. AB equals 2DC, DE equals EB. Find DB in terms of M and N. Quite tricky sometimes, these questions. Try and put in much information as you can. Let's use this statement. AB is 2DC. Well, there's DC there, so that's 2 of that. So let me just write that on the diagram. Don't be scared to write on the diagram. Completely fine. Use your exam paper. It says DE equals EB. Well, where's DE? You don't need to write that because you don't know what that is, but you can see they're equal and there's little dashes there. So I've got to go DB. So I need to go from here to here, but I don't know how to go that way. So you just go the route that you can use the letters on. So I can go this way and this way. N plus 2m. That looks good to me. Happy with that? And express BE in terms of M and N. Well, I need to go from B to E, but I can't. I already know how to go from D to B. I go this way, which is the same. If I've went that way, it's the same as going that way. So that's that vector there. So I know that D to B equals Mn. So I could actually, since I want to go backwards, B to D, it would be the reverse of that, so minus n minus 2m, but it's a half because I'm only going half away. So that's how I'm thinking of that. So BE equals a half of minus n minus 2m. You can expand that or not, but I will expand it. Minus a half n minus, I think you should expand it. A half of 2 is 1, so minus m. And we're done there. Yeah, stop the video there just to start it again because the file sometimes gets too big or it messes up. I always need to check this is still recording sometimes, because if I don't check that, then what happens is it's actually I'm sitting here talking to myself. You wouldn't believe how many times I've done questions I'm sitting here talking to myself. It's crazy. So here we go. Let's start this one. Simplifying 2d to the minus 2 cubed. Okay. A lot of people make mistakes with these, so I'm going to make sure I try not to. I've got a rule which is power means times the power. So starting with a d, minus 2 times 3 is minus 6. That's good. Now a lot of people just write 2 here, but actually if it's in the bracket, that's to be cubed as well. So I need to do 2 cubed. 2 2s is 4 times 2 is 8. So 8d to minus 6. And read the question. I'm not finished. It says positive power. So the other rule is a negative power can be a positive power by making a fraction, and the thing with the negative power goes underneath. It just turns positive. But I've still got the 8 hanging around, so the 8's still sitting at the top because that's not moved. I think I'm happy with that. I think that would be 3 marks in the real exam as well. Question 10. The diagram shows triangle STV. ST is 12, SV is 14, sine S is 3/4. Find the area. If I can see area, I'm checking my exam paper, it's probably area of a triangle. So back up I go and copy it. Area of a triangle is a half AB sine C. So I check that and I immediately go and write it down. so I don't forget it. So you need to understand this formula, but basically A and B have to be either side of an angle you know. So usually you would know this angle, but you don't go to the non-calculator. But what you do know is the whole of sine S. That's just sine C. So that means that that is the 3/4. If it was a calculator paper, it would say something like S is 60, and you would write sine 60. But it's not sine 3/4, because you can't do that, you've not got a calculator. So it's just 3/4. So I've got a half times A, let's just call that A and B. 12 times 14 times 3/4. Now you can do this in any order you want, but a simple, handy way to do this, if a half goes into 12, which half of 12 is 6, I'll just take that to 6 times 14 times 3/4. Now, none of these numbers 4 goes into, but that's okay. I can do 6, I'll just divide 14 by 4 at the side. 4, 8, 12, 2 left over, so 0.0 carry 2, 4 5s is 20, so that's 3.5. And then I can do 3.5, I've divided by 4, so I'm going to times that by 3. So that's 3 3s are 9, 3 5s is 15, 3 3s are 9 plus 1 is 10, that's 10.5. So it's 6 times 10.5, 6 10s are 60, let's start it this other way actually, 6 5s is 30, 6 nothings is nothing, so put a 3, 6 1s is 6, 63.0 or 63 in my units, centimetres squared. Pretty sure I'm quite happy with that. Yep, let's move on. Question. You'll notice a bell in the background. Question 11. A function f of x is defined as f of x equals 7x minus 2. Find f of minus 1. So here we go, f of minus 1. If it's in the brackets, it means I'm substituting. So 7 times minus 1 minus 2. That's minus 7 minus 2. I think I'm happy if that's minus 9. So let's move on. F of p equals minus 30. So if it says equals, I'm now making the whole thing equal, but it's not x, it's p, so I'll just change it to a p, no big deal. Add 2 to both sides. Watching out, minus 30 plus 2 is minus 28. Divide by 7, I like that there. 7 4s is 28, and it's just 1 minus, so it's minus 4. I think I'm happy with that. Question 12. Solve the inequation. X plus 4 over 3 is less than or equal to 2x minus 5 over 2. So I'll put these in brackets, I think. And since it's like an equals here, I can just do top times bottom. So 2x plus 4. Same sign, top times bottom. 3, 2x minus 5. So I need to expand my brackets. That's 2x, 2 4s is 8. 3 2s is 6x, 3 5s is 15. I like to keep my x's positive, especially with inequalities. So I'll move the 2x over, so that's positive, so it becomes negative on the other side. So minus 2x. That's 4x minus 15. Move the 15 then, so I'm going to add 15. So I get 15, 23. On this side is less than or equal to 4x. Divide by 4, I can't, but I can leave it as a fraction. Is less than or equal to x. Can I simplify that? Nope, no number's going to 4 and 23. You can leave it like that, or you can change it, but I wouldn't, to the other side, and it would be greater than or equal to. You flip it. Now, if you had made your x negative as well, if you had kept it on the left all the way through, you'd be divided by a negative at the end, which means you would have to flip it as well. If you divide by a negative, you flip. Just check that, 23 over 4, yep. Okay, question 13. Bubble tea is sold in small and large cups. They are similar. The large cup has a volume of 540, let's just take a note of that, and has a height of 12, let's just put that there, and the small one has 160, and we'll have to find height. Well, we're starting with volume. So if you're starting with, you've got two things that are the same, volume and volume, so that gives you the volume scale factor. If you've got area and area, it gives you the area. If you've got length and length, it gives you the length. So I can only get the volume scale factor, VSF. The volume scale factor is, I'm going to get into the small one, so I'll start with a small one over the big one. Now, but I want to try and find the height. I always go back to the linear scale factor if I've not got that. So to go back to the linear scale factor from one you've already got, you do the opposite of what you would normally do. So I'd usually cube to get the volume, so I'll cube root. Now this looks really hard. but we'll check if we can simplify that to see if we can do that. So we can divide by 0, and 16, 32, 48, 49, 50, 51, 2, 3, 4. Pretty sure that goes in 3 times. 16 goes into 54 3 times. Does it? 16, 32, 48. So it's the cube root of a third. Let's double check that. So I've got 16 over 54. So can I divide that by, let's just divide that by 2 and 2. That gives me 8 over 2 2s is 4, 2 7s is 14. Oh, 8 over 27. I must have made a mistake when I counted that, so there we go. So you can see how you need to think. And the reason I was getting confused with third is I knew I couldn't cube root 3. But I can cube root 8. 2 2s is 4 times 2 is 8. And 3 3s is 9 times 3 is 27. Quite a hard one this, but usually, there you go, 2 thirds. So that means that my height is just 2 thirds of 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4 times 2 is 8 centimetres, and we're done there. Question 14. Express x squared minus 4x minus 1 in the form p, x plus p squared plus q. So I always think you half the middle term, and don't worry that it says plus there, it can be plus or minus. And then immediately take away 2 squared, so 2 2s is 4, minus 4, but I've got minus 1 still. So that's x minus 2 squared, minus 4 minus 1 is minus 5. You can check your answer by the way. X squared, double that, minus 2x minus 4x. Then just do 2 2s is 4, well 4 minus 5 is minus 1, so I'm happy with that. It says the roots of the equation. The roots of the equation, oh my gosh, I hadn't seen that at the start of the exam paper. Yes, it's the quadratic formula mentions the roots. So if I ask you to find the roots or solve the equation as a quadratic, there it is there. So you just go and copy it. Now this is non-calculator. It does come up now and again, not often. So I'm going to write x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And it says it's going to be expressed in the form of x equals a plus or minus root b. And the reason it's saying that is you cannot actually work out sometimes, so you leave it as a third. So if it comes out as if it's non-calculator, that's what you do. If it's calculator, you would actually work it out using numbers. So just sub in your numbers. Well, a is 1 in front of x squared, b is minus 4, c is minus 1. So you've got x equals minus b, minus minus 4, plus or minus minus 4 squared, minus 4 times 1 times minus 1, over 2 times 1. Notice there's not anything in the fraction, so there's going to be simplification involved. So that's 4 plus or minus the square root. Always work this bit out first. 16. 4 times 1 is 4, but it's plus because a minus is a minus. So 16 plus 4 is 20, all over 2. Now, you cannot simplify yet because there's not a number here. So I'm going to do root 20 at the side as a third. That's root 4 root 5. Gives me 2 root 5. So my answer becomes x equals 4 plus or minus 2 root 5 over 2. And both of the numbers can be divided by 2, so I can just divide by 2 now. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So over 1 root 5. X plus 2 plus or minus 1 root 5. I think I'm quite happy with that, so I'm done there. This has been Clara Maths today. We've went through the National 5 Maths 2024 Essential Skills Paper 1. Hopefully you found that useful, especially with exam technique, me actually going through it live, me making mistakes, me showing you what I would do in an exam as I'm going. Good luck with your revision today, and I'll see you later on today with paper 2. Take care, stay safe, and goodbye.